Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the UFL DFS video for week number 2. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. I'll be going through each team, breaking down all the relevant players, whether or not I would consider them a cash game option, a GPP option, or a GPP paydown option. If there's any other important notes to know for week number 2, I'll try to mention them as well. This sheet is going to be up on my Patreon page, small monthly donation over there. It will be updated as the week moves along. I will be posting inactives down in the comment section of this video, so definitely on the lookout for that. And then definitely be sure to follow the injury report over on the UFL website. Otherwise, I will update them in the sheet as well. But without further ado, we're going to get started with the Birmingham Stallions. We got Alex Magoo at quarterback, $9,500. He played all the snaps in week number 1. It was a rough week for him overall, but obviously keep in mind he hasn't played too much live action over the past couple years since he was the USFL MVP and then went to the Packers practice squad. So first time seeing some live reps in a while, so maybe a little bit rust to kick off there, but still definitely do like him as a GPP option at $9,500. We have some news that CJ Marable will be inactive for week number 2. I know he did miss practice due to personal reasons. I haven't looked too much into it to see what those were. You know, that could range for a wide variety of things, whether that's family related or something else. So we're going to get Ricky Person Jr. as the primary ball carrier for them this week, $6,800. Potential cash game option if you want to go there. Otherwise, we have Larry Roundtree active as that secondary running back as kind of a paydown option. So definitely could get a little bit of exposure to him. Definitely will have a little bit of interest in both just in general. In terms of wide receivers, week 1, Deon Cain and Davion Davis were kind of the top 2 guys in terms of like targets and snaps, although they did rotate these guys quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how that rotation pans out over the coming weeks. But Deon Cain, $8,100. GPP option also operated as the primary kick returner. Amari Rodgers operated as the primary punt returner, but he isn't active for week number 2. We'll see whether or not Davion Davis or Cade Johnson take over those duties. I know Davion Davis, I do believe, had 1 punt return last week. And speaking of Davion Davis, he would be a cash game option for me, or a potential cash game option at $4,700. Kind of the leading wide receiver for this team, at least early on in week 1. And then Austin Watkins, I believe only saw 2 targets in week 1. Still a 5 minimum at $3,000. Potential paydown option if you want to go there. Jay Sternberger, very rough week number 1. He only had 1 target. Didn't even catch that. So $5,900. He did put up a goose egg in week 1. So probably a little less ownership going to him just in general. But definitely do like him as a GPP option once again. In terms of other tight end news, Michael Petaway was placed on injury reserve, and they did sign Marcus Bowe back to the team. I believe Marcus Bowe does not have a salary on DraftKings at this point in time since he was just signed back today. In terms of that Birmingham Stallions defense, $4,100 going against Michigan Panthers. I think there's a little bit of upside to be had there. You know, if the Stallions can put their A game together, they are a GPP option. Probably going to be in line with the field on them for the most part, though. And then we move down to the Houston Roughnecks. It's a up-in-the-air quarterback situation after week number 1. Anthony Brown got the start, and Nolan Henderson was the more effective quarterback. Not really interested in either one at this point in time. They did sign a 4th quarterback to the team, in Mike Hohensee Jr. I believe he played at Northwest Missouri State. I don't believe he has DraftKings price tag at this point in time. I believe Jalen McClendon was inactive for week number 1. So it'll be interesting to see why they're carrying 4 quarterbacks at this point in time. Kirk Merritt, $6,300 GPP option if you want to go there. Was the primary ball carrier for them in week number 1. Zaquandre White was inactive for week number 1. They were not effective in the run game whatsoever, so I wouldn't be surprised if White gets bumped up, but we'll have to see that in the coming days. In terms of their receiving options, it was primarily Justin Hall in week 1, $9,000 cash game option if you want to go there. You know, if you want to take a shot on Josh Peterson as kind of a pay down option, you could definitely do that, but nobody else truly stands out at this point in time, and we did see mainly Justin Hall, Chike Kism, and Lawrence Keys as their primary pass catchers in terms of snaps. And then for the Houston Roughnecks defense, maybe a paydown option if you want to go there against the Arlington Renegades, but it is a little bit of risk at that. Then we moved down to the Memphis Showboats, who did get Ken Wisenhunt, their head coach, back this week. Kind of weird that he stepped away for 1 week and then was able to come back. So do expect that offense to look a little bit better in week number 2. With all that being said, EJ Perry kind of got the bulk load of the snaps. I would still be interested in a GPP role, $8,800, unless we hear that Troy Williams is starting. I definitely do think that EJ Perry has the higher upside of the 2 quarterbacks. You know, looking at that running back position, Prince and Jackson were the 2 guys in week number 1. Prince did operate as the primary kick returner as well. I would say Jackson was probably the more effective back, so he's kind of a pay down option at $5,000. Not really trying to get to Prince at $7,000. Don't like that price tag. We'll see if Kadobi is active for week number 2 or not, or if he still remains inactive. Will be an interesting running back situation to monitor as we do go forward. And for the wide receivers, mainly interested in Jonathan Adams. Once again, $6,600. Good, strong week number 1. Cash game option. Once again, if you want to take a shot on like Kwame Lassiter or Eli Stove, you can definitely do that, as they played the second and third most snaps in terms of the wide receivers on the team overall. I believe Isaiah Henney operated as the punt returner as well. I'm missing that note for some reason. And then in terms of the tight ends, they were not very involved whatsoever and pretty much split snaps down the middle. So not very interested in them just in general. In terms of that Memphis Showboats defense, pay down option, $3,600. Probably not the best showing for them in week 1. Going against the defenders might be a little bit tougher matchup, but there is some potential upside to be had there at that, especially if the offense is looking better in week number 2. And then we move down to the Michigan Panthers. Bryce Perkins did play like the majority of the snaps for this team overall. $9,400 cash game option. Do like his rushing upside. So not too much to be said there. Maybe they split reps once again with Danny Etling, so there is a little bit of risk to be had there. In terms of the running backs, Matthew Colburn, Nate McCreary were the top 2 guys for week number 1. Both are kind of GPP options. Not getting a ton of either one, though. In terms of wide receivers, the 2 guys that I would be interested in, Marcus Sims, $7,900. He was very effective for them last year and looked the same part in week number 1. And then Willie Turner, the former NFL guy, $3,800, solid pay down option there, maybe even a cash game option if you really want to go there. The one notable change is Jalen Moore will be active for week number 2, and Xavier Malone will be inactive. And Xavier Malone operated as the primary punt and kick returner. We'll see if that transitions over to like Jalen Moore in the punt return department and Devin Ross in the kick return department. But kind of remains to be seen at this point in time. Cole Hukatini didn't do too much at tight end, so probably going to avoid him at this point. In terms of that Michigan Panthers defense, there is a little bit of upside to be had there against the Stallions. I think Alex Magoo and company probably figure it out in week number 2, but if you want to take that chance, definitely do understand that as kind of a potential paydown option just in general. Moving over to the Arlington Renegades, Luis Perez looks pretty solid at $9,800 GPP option once again, maybe even a cash game option if you really want to go there. In terms of the running back position, Davion Smith only played 3 snaps in total. Fortunately for him, he gained the 1 yard that needed to be had all 3 times and scored 3 touchdowns. So he really paid off in that department, but Kalen Ballage was the primary running back in week number 1. Do expect that to be the case once again in week 2. Moving forward past that, I would kind of be expecting a little bit more of a mix. Day-Day Hunter also did play a good amount of snaps, so if you want to roll him out as a paydown option of $5,500, definitely don't hate that. And then in terms of the wide receivers, mainly looking at Tyler Vaughns and Isaiah Winstead. Tyler Vaughns kind of that safety blanket for Luis Perez, $7,700 GPP option there. Isaiah Winstead, kind of a paydown option at $4,400. Did play the 3rd most amount of snaps, I believe, at the wide receiver position. Might have been the 2nd. Can't remember off the top of my head, but he was limited in Wednesday's practice due to a groin injury. We will monitor that as the week moves along. Sal Cannella, steady as always, $8,600. He is a GPP option. The $8,600 price tag, probably the only thing that really limits him overall. In terms of that Renegades defense, they did actually look pretty good in week number 1, $4,500 going against Houston Roughnecks team that did struggle quite a bit in week 1, so we consider them a cash game option. Moving down to the DC defenders, we got Jordan Tiamu at quarterback, who did throw the ball 37 times in week number 1. Wasn't expecting that, but GPP option at $9,300. In terms of the running backs, if you want to roll out Abram Smith, $8,700 GPP option, definitely do understand it, bro. But I will probably be underweight to the field on him. Did play a good amount of the snaps, though. Deion Jackson behind him looked pretty effective behind him at $5,400. Pay down option if you really want to go there. In terms of the wide receiver position, we got Ty Scott, $8,400. Solid GPP option once again. I believe had 10 targets in week number 1. Chris Rowland obviously had the touchdown, $5,700. Another GPP option there. Braylon Sanders was able to practice in full on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we'll see if he's active for week number 2. Cornell Powell did see a good amount of targets in week 1, so at $4,500, kind of a GPP option, GPP pay down option if you really want to go there. The tight ends really didn't do too much overall. And the defenders defense, $4,400 GPP option going against the Memphis Showboats. We'll see what they look like on offense in week number 2. And then we move down to the San Antonio Brahmas. Kellen Mond did get all the snaps at quarterback, but did not look great whatsoever. So not really getting to him this week overall. Their 3rd quarterback in Jared Corentano somehow is limited in practice due to a head injury despite being inactive. Don't really understand that one. Not going to try to figure that out too much. John Lovett at running back, $7,200. Limited practice on Wednesday due to a hamstring injury. Probably just avoiding him altogether. The other 2 running backs would be the 2 that I would be most interested in. Anthony McFarland, GPP option, and then Jayshon Corbin as kind of a paydown option, especially if John Lovett's out. Both those guys are going to look a little bit better overall. And I do believe Anthony McFarland operated as the primary kick returner. I do see that. I forgot to put that note there. And then in terms of punt returning, Marquez Stevenson handled the duties there. In terms of the wide receiver room that I'm interested in, Jonte Kirkland, $9,500, GPP option. Greg Ward, $6,500 GPP option. And then Jacob Harris, who was a starter at wide receiver, a little bit surprised there, $4,100 GPP paydown option. I would expect him to be very popular in week number 2. Alize Mack didn't play a ton of snaps at tight end, so not really interested in him at $3,300. And then we moved down to the Brahmas defense, $3,700. You know, maybe they're a GPP option if you really, really want to go there. But going against St. Louis Battlehawks, probably not the week to do it overall. And then last but not least, we moved down to that St. Louis Battlehawks team, $9,600 for Manny Wilkins. GPP option, I think he's going to be very popular after week 1 with his rushing upside. At running back, Jacob Sailors, $10,000 cash game option for me once again. So Sailors and Howard really split in week number 1, but a lot of that was due to blowout. So I think Howard's going to be pretty popular after a big week, which was really just like one really long broken run in garbage time. But $6,000 GPP option if you really want to go there. Keem Butler didn't practice on Wednesday due to his hamstring injury. Played a good amount of snaps in week number 1. Didn't put up any fantasy points, so a little bit of concern there. Ja'Cour Pearson probably going to be the main guy for me. $8,300 GPP option there. And then if you want to go with Frank Darby at $5,300, did put up a decent week number 1. Kind of a GPP option there at the same time as well. And then last but not least, the Battlehawks defense, $4,300. Going against the Brahmas, not sure what we're getting out of Kellen Mond at this point in time, so would consider them a GPP option as well. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on my UFL DFS sheet for week number 2. As always, if you have any questions related to UFL DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below. Once again, the sheet will be up on my Patreon page and updated as we do get more news in the coming days. However, I will be posting all the inactives down in the comment section of this video, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the first time, or if you just subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks, Monday through Friday. Got the UFL DFS video coming out once a week. Typically, it will be on Tuesdays. Unfortunately, this week it was on Wednesday, but we do have more information because of that. So we're going to chalk that one up as a win. And then I will be posting some NFL draft content here and there as we do lead up to the actual NFL draft. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's a 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and we would be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in UFL DFS for week number 2.